my previous video I mentioned I was showing my tomatoes and how I water them. My tomatoes are grown in boxes, and it's not easy for me to have a drip system or soaker hoses, because I would have to string water line across my driveway. And so typically I water either with a watering can. I've used jugs. And lately I use the 2-liter thing that I showed with the spike. The spike goes in the ground, you fill the bottle, tip it up, and it takes about an hour to kind of, or maybe half an hour or so, to seep into the ground. It works great. But that got me to thinking about something that I realized a couple years ago. Up until a couple years ago, I was watering my plants from the garden hose, from the tap water. And since I'm growing in boxes, it's my main source of water aside from rain. And the problem with that is that there's a lot of chlorine in tap water. Depends on where you live and how much is in there, but it's an alarming amount. The EPA allows up to like 4 parts per million, I believe, and anything over 3 parts per million in a swimming pool is dangerous. So, I mean, that's a lot of chlorine. Now, a lot of that is designed to evaporate by the time you drink it. It's to keep your pipes clean. It's a very strong acidic chemical, and it keeps your plumbing clean. And it's designed, they try to have to where a lot of it's evaporated by the time you're drinking it. If you smell it, it's pretty strong. And the thing is, there's chlorine in your tap water. There's no doubt about it. And what does chlorine do? It kills bacteria. Well, what is the purpose of growing organically? It's to grow a bacteria-rich soil that's feeding your plant. Instead of feeding the plant, you feed the soil, and the soil feeds the plant. That's the typical mantra of organic growing. Well, if you're watering every day, day after day, week after week, month after month, with chlorinated water from your tap, it's going to have an effect. It's not going to kill your tomatoes, obviously. It's not going to, I mean, people have been watering from the garden hose for years, and they grow tomatoes, and nice ones, and vegetables and plants. But it makes a difference, and I can tell you firsthand that once I stopped watering from the garden hose directly into my garden boxes and stuff, and started doing it differently, the difference was amazing, because I know it was killing a lot of that bacteria in the soil. What I've done since then is I have a large container outside. I don't have a rain barrel yet. I'm setting one up this year. But I just have a large container. It's a large trash can container. I fill it with water from the tap. It doesn't take more than about 24 or so hours for most of that chlorine to dissipate from that water. And then I use that water to fill my jugs. Airplane flying over. Or my pitcher or whatever. Anytime I water my garden or my vegetables, I get water from my container. Because a lot of the chlorine is evaporated at that point. It makes a difference. I can say firsthand that it makes a difference, a big difference. It really made a difference in my garden. Not to be pouring chlorinated water every day into that box, or into that pot, or into the... and a lot of people don't think about it. They're like, oh, I never thought of that. Well, I didn't either until a couple years ago. I kind of thought about it. I think I read something about it. And I decided from that point on, well, all I need to do is just fill a container. Within 24 hours, it's evaporated, so I'm using that water, I refill it, it's another day or two, I feel, I'm watering, so it's a lot of that chlorine is at least allowed to evaporate, if there's any chlorine left. It makes a big difference, and I just wanted to add this to my previous video. Also, right now, I just water the first few weeks of my plants here. I'm just watering with my pitcher. I'm not using my watering system. I'll use this in a few weeks when it really starts getting hot. Then I start going to the spike in the container. by that time I've taken the plastic off of my cages, and I can easily just water my plants, or fertilize, or whatever I got to do, or pull suckers, or hornworms, or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to add that point as I got to thinking about it, about the chlorine in your tap water. If you're real hardcore organic, and you're putting all this effort into making compost or worm castings and mending your soil and not using chemicals, not using pesticides, well, you're just blowing that all away, literally, if you're watering every day from your chlorinated tap water. You're killing bacteria. There's no doubt about it. This is something to think about. I may be totally wrong. I mean, maybe way off the bat, but let me tell you, I've seen the difference, so I definitely wanted to pass this on. I have seen the major difference by not using chlorinated water to water my plants. And I just wanted to make this update, that's all. Thanks for watching. Now I'll see you in about a week or two with another update.